Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lawn Care CEO podcast. My name is Dan Ralphs. I'm the head coach here at the Lawn Care CEO, and I'm joined, as always, maybe not as always, maybe someday I'll come on by myself, but it's very comforting to know that the CEO of the Lawn Care CEO is with us, Aaron Suttonfield, and a very special guest who we'll introduce in just a moment is with us as well. Wanted to start off the day with one of the things we do in all of our coaching calls when we're coaching is we do something called a positive focus. And a positive focus is just a way to get your brain kind of organized and oriented to something awesome. And I wanted to start off the day with a little bit of gratitude and positive focus. Just got off an amazing weekend at Mike Andy's Blue Collar Summit. I felt like at home there, and so many people were so nice. And I'll tell you what, Aaron, I think Mike Andy's is a force to be reckoned with. Like I'm consistently very impressed with his team and very impressed with like the enormity of his dream to kind of grow and up level the professionalism lawn care. He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Was that your impression?
For sure. That was my first Mike Andy's event. You had been to two previous ones, I believe.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm very well aware of who he is, and I've followed, like many of us in the industry, followed him on YouTube and through his different channels. I think the thing that struck me is when you see someone that's that active and building that large of an audience, um, in the line of work that we do, which is trying to figure out what's the purpose of why this person's doing things. That's where I always go. Like, why are they
Yeah.
doing this? It became very clear to me that his vision is huge, and it's not an arrogance thing. It's not a self-serving vision. Um, and I think that he realizes he has to put himself out there to a large audience, and you know, and he's great at that. But he's a very genuine. It seems to be a very genuine vision to really make a huge impact. Um, and it was pretty cool to be around that and see that. And I definitely have a higher respect. I respected him greatly before I got there, but being there and also like seeing the culture of his team, you can't
Mm-hmm.
fake that.
Yep.
You can't put that on for 2 days or whatever. So I was very impressed, and it was an honor to be a part of it and be, a small part, be
It's
there
funny
in the
that
room
really
with
is
them.
one of the ways. It's one of the ways that I evaluate a company and the quality of a leader is I evaluate the quality of the culture of the team and the way that they're all operating and whether or not they're engaged and alert and smart and humble. And I've gotten that every time I've gone to a Mike Andy's event. I've gotten that vibe from his culture. And if you're paying attention in the back of the room like I am, I'm like noticing the quality of the people there. And when you have that group and that quality of people, they're going to do big things. Super fun, super exciting. It was a great weekend in Seattle. And if anyone's listening that was a part of that, just thank you for being so awesome and had a really, really good experience. Now, with that being said, I have guests sitting here and I've been ignoring them. So let's talk a little bit. Because to be honest, Aaron, this is kind of a culmination of basically since the beginning of you and I even founding the idea of the Lawn Care CEO and the Lawn Care CEO podcast. Like at the very beginning, you and I, we always laugh that it was like a romantic weekend away in Wilmington, North Carolina, at a beach house somewhere. Uh, and someone's going to hear that and actually think we were romantic, but it has nothing to do with
Yeah,
romance. But
we
we
didn't even
got
walk on the
together.
beach.
Yeah, we didn't.
More like
Uh,
bromance, you
it
know?
was a little bromance. Yeah,
It
that's
was a
probably a better way of
There you
bromance.
go.
saying
Yeah, it was a
There
bromance.
you go.
it. So, but we sat down together and there were a couple of things that kind of pinged for me. So for those of you who don't know my background, I'd been up to that point, leadership consultant, culture consultant, and had my own little consulting firm. And the framework where I'd learned it is I worked for a company called Infusionsoft, now Keep, and they had a little software that was helping companies it was kind of an all-in-one sales marketing software. And they came to me and they said, they came to Infusionsoft, the clients did, and they said, hey, we like your software. Sometimes what we're really curious about is how you've built this business, because you are, I mean, you guys are on the Inc. 500, 5,000 list. You're growing like crazy, but you're also on one of the great places to work lists. So we're, I think at our peak, like a top 20 great place to work in the country. And so how do you do both of those things? How do you be a really fast growing company, but how do you also grow at a really, in a way that the culture is really happening? And obviously those two things are connected, but they would came and they said, teach us as small business owners, how do we do that? How do I lead that? How do I CEO that? And so the CEO at the time, or the CEO of Keep, his name was Clayton Mask, put together a 2-day workshop. He called it their Elite Forum. And he invited CEOs that are $1 million plus to come and learn exactly the methodology and frameworks that he had implemented to grow his company from 5 million. I think at the time they were 0 million to they'd grown at the time to like 26 million. And he kind of codified this leadership framework, and they called it the Elite Entrepreneurship Framework. So I had learned that. I was at the company. I'd been asked to facilitate it, and over the period of the next few years, end up working with hundreds of small business owners, all $1 million plus, from all different walks of business life, everything from attorneys and doctors and dentists, all kinds of service, software, tech, production, manufacturing, all of, you name it, we did it. Companies from all the way from China, Australia, UK, all over the United States. And so that was my background coming into it. And so when Aaron and I sat down, I didn't know lawn care. Aaron, 29-year vet in lawn care. But we looked at each other and we said, hey, in order for us to really help lawn care businesses thrive, we're going to have to do two things. One, we're going to have to figure out how to blend great leadership with great, what would you call it, Aaron? Like great production, great systems, great lawn care, operational discipline. Yeah. Operational structure. And we're going to have to blend those two things together. So not only can I have a business that's really well run, very well managed, very systematic, but also that we're able to build great culture and we're able to lead it in a meaningful, purpose-driven way. And we're able to have great KPIs and great just regular leadership rhythms. And we're going to try to blend those two things together. And at the time, we've been trying it, right, Aaron? We've been doing these group events, trying to share that, but it wasn't working. And Aaron, I'll let you. I've been talking too much, but I'll let you pick up the story because, but it wasn't quite working. And you came to us and said, "Hey, we need to change something."
Yeah. So I had actually in 2016, I had actually had a similar experience where I had someone come in and work with my company. The format at that time was called not SEO, EOS.
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 Yeah, same letters, just rearranged. EOS, which if you're listening, maybe you've heard of that. And so I'd had an implementer come and work with me for a few days. My company was smaller at the time. There wasn't a real leadership team there at the time. And I thought EOS was very rigid, but I understood leadership. I understood the principles around something like this. And so when I met Dan, and actually I met Dan and Miranda, I just gave her name, sorry. At the same time, you guys were talking about this program that you had, Dan, learned at Infusionsoft and taught. And you guys were teaching it to a room at the time. It's 30 to 40 people were in that room. It seemed like it was a pretty good sized room. And I remember I was at the back of the room, just kind of like, who are these people? What are they doing? What's this program? And I'm like, oh, this is good. This is really, I know this. This is similar because let's face it, EOS and Elite that we teach all comes from, Jim Collins and some other people, right? It's kind of a mesh of all these pretty good entrepreneur authors and people that have talked about this space for a long time. And so, what I noticed after kind of being in that room 2 or 3 different times with, a large group of people I felt like the best way for this to work, and I still do, and I know for a fact it is now, it is best done one on one, not in a
Yeah.
large group setting. And Dan, you had done that. Now I will say this: we've taken it a step further than any of those other people do, and we actually have a rhythm where we touch you even more than annually and quarterly. We actually touch you every other week in our programs. But no, this program is perfect for a small entrepreneur who's never led anything. And we actually, how many people did we talk to this past weekend where they said, "Ugh, I'm 1 million, I'm almost
Yeah.
1.5 million, and I don't even know what to do."
I don't
Like,
know how to
I mean,
lead
one
this. Yep.
person even said, "I think I should go backwards." Like, maybe I should just go the other way and go back to what I know, which is just two crews and me just kind of running it and going back to my job as opposed to stepping into the leadership role. So yeah, so that's kind of how I came to the format that you guys have been
Yeah.
teaching for a while now.
So it dawned on us that, thanks to Aaron, that in order for us to really be able to help companies, it had to be one-on-one. And that was a new like innovation for me. Like I'd helped one-on-one a lot up to that point, but I'd also been doing a lot of group things. And it dawned on me that in a similar way as you wouldn't go to a group doctor, like if there was like 20 people that needed to go to the doctor, they don't just all get together and we'll just all go to the doctor together and he'll just tell us generally what we should do. That would be like ludicrous, right? It would be like they're
Hey,
sitting by.
I gotta say this. There's a commercial. It's like a healthcare commercial, and the dad's at the pediatrician with his daughter, and he's like, um, "What would she do if you're having some ED issues?" and he's
Exactly.
and he's like trying to piggyback on the.
On the appointment. Yeah, that's exactly my point. Like you literally would have be asking about
Can
ED
we just get
issues
this
at the
one copay and handle all this?
at the pediatrician. Yeah, that's exactly what sometimes happens. And in fact, I think that sometimes group events can be a little risky because
Oh,
again,
ooh,
like
we saw it this week, didn't we?
yeah, we're talking
Oh,
like we're talking generally to a group of people and saying, hey, you should do A, when really you should only do it's like on the back of a prescription box there's the little piece that says if you're this age take this much, if you're this age take that much. And by the way, if you take it for too long you definitely should talk to a doctor because I'm a box not a doctor, and so I can't tell you what you should be doing
yeah.
long term. Like there's only one way to do that, and that's to talk to a doctor.
And Dan, this happens in business all the time. A great one that I made a mistake in 2003. I had a really young um, accountant, and I didn't use him after this year, and switched to the one I use now. But at any rate, he was like, he didn't know anything about me, just started working with me, and he was like, "You should go buy something before the year ends to save on taxes." It was like, and I mean, I trusted him. He's a
Yeah.
CPA, and it was horrible advice. And he had not seen any of my numbers. And I mentioned that, I thought we were going to have a pretty good net profit. This was 2003, and I was, been in business a few years. And he was just, like, it just, you can't give advice. I mean, we get it all the time where people meet us for like 5 minutes and say, "What should I do?" And like, oh, like I can't tell you right now. I don't
Yeah.
have enough
Yeah.
information. And that's the problem
I
with the
kept telling
group
people
event.
that at the event. I said, I'm interested in your case, but I need to run labs. I need to run tests before I
Yeah.
can give you any advice. And until and in business world, running labs is like I need to see your numbers. I need to see your P&L. We need to have a really deep dive around where you're going, what you're trying to do. Anyway, this is the longest speaker introduction or guest introduction of all time. But
Yeah.
so
I
moral
need
of the
permission
story.
to speak up. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, we'll get to you in a minute. Guest that shall not be named. So, moral of the story is, this is a culmination of us saying, all right, if we're really going to do the one-on-one thing, if that really is the solution to helping lawn care business owners make gains in their business, heal things that are sick, and really help companies thrive in a real way, because too many people spend too much money on stuff that doesn't help them thrive. And I won't give specific examples. I'll just say there people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, trying to help their companies thrive, and it's not hitting the mark. Very much like old timey medicine. They literally, the snake oil salesman is named after a doctor, right? Somebody pretending to be a doctor, somebody pretending to be able to help that wasn't qualified to help. So that being said, we've been asking the question, in order for us to grow and scale, we're going to not only have to create a scalable coaching model, like we're going to have to create the science of medicine when it comes to lawn care business, to where predictably, if you have symptom A, we can give you treatment B and you'll get a result. Like, we have to develop and design the system of medicine, which is what Aaron and I have been focused on over the last year and a half, if not more. But we'll also have to find really intelligent, talented doctors, so to speak, that will allow us to, hand this model to, and that they can not only understand it, but they can be smart with it and make really good decisions. And so we sat around forever and we said, well, who could it be? Who could it be? Like, if we're going to hire someone to be our next doctor, like, who will it be? And we would literally say, hey, if we could find someone like Miranda, who I'd known from my previous world at Elite, then that would work. But it'd have to be somebody as good as Miranda. And Aaron would say, ugh, I don't know. Do you think we could find people that good? And I'm like, I don't know, honestly. Like, maybe if we paid them enough, like, we could go. They're probably, even if you're one in a million, there are 7,000 other people like you in the world. So maybe there's 6,999 more Mirandas out there, because she's kind of one in a million. But unfortunately, like, half of them speak Chinese. This is the trouble. But moral of the story is that we've been kind of had Miranda in mind for a very long time, but she was working and had a really good, successful career coaching and working with entrepreneurs. We just didn't think we could A, afford her, and B, steal her away. But I have really good news. As of January something, we hired Miranda to be our third coach in the game. So let me introduce you to Miranda Dano.
Dano. That's right. You got it, Miranda. Dano.
Don't try to spell it.
Do not try to spell it. And if
so Miranda, welcome to the team. Welcome to the team. What do you know? This is big news.
Can you believe it? I'm here. And if my fragile ego ever needs a boost, I'll just listen to that introduction again.
Yeah, you are the fulfillment of years of effort and worry and wonder. So Miranda, do give, because I know a little bit more about your background, and honestly, and this is true of anyone, right? The biography is not as cool as the person. Like, you can have really great biography and not be a cool person, and vice versa, right? You can be a cool person, not have a great biography. The good news is Miranda has a great biography and is a cool person. So Miranda, you've coached, would it be safe to say at least 100, I don't know, million plus dollar business owners?
For sure. You could say at least 100. Both one-on-one and group style, right? So just when you include all of that together, I've done a lot of coaching and teaching where there's a bunch of people in front of me, and then also a lot of one-on-one. So that's gone both ways for sure.
Yeah. And you and I are both disciples of the Elite entrepreneurship methodology. For those who don't know, because I don't know that I've taught it very well on this podcast, what the Elite methodology is, give it in a nutshell. Help them learn what the Elite methodology is designed to do.
Man, even when I first started at Elite, and when you first start to learn this, and Aaron captured a little bit of this when he was talking about how he, ran into us at that other event, and we were talking about whatever Elite stuff we were talking about. It's pretty obvious early on that the Elite methodology is pretty magical. There are a lot of there's a lot of business systems. There are a lot of business systems out there like EOS or whatever other things people might be doing. And what I think sets it apart is the understanding of like organizational behavior, like how people in teams come
Mm.
together to get stuff done. It's like a master class. It really
Hmm.
is next level. Um, and it is simplified in a way that makes it really approachable, even for people that are like, I don't even really consider myself a leader, you know?
Yeah.
Even from
Yeah.
that spot, you can start to pick it up a little bit. So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I,
Powerful enough, I'd say it's powerful enough to build 50 to $100 million business, but simple enough to
it's great.
to take on and start with almost the first time you get going. And it's really just a simple way of organizing your kind of chaotic thoughts and organizing the work, and then finding a way to communicate that work in concert with your team so that
Right.
everyone's on the same page, rowing in the same direction. Our mentor there, Brett Gilliland, would always say, uh, what is it? Coordinated action, discipline,
Uh, Targeted.
targeted, coordinated action um, was the challenge, right? How do we get a group of people all rowing in the same direction, all towards the same goal? And it's a methodology. There's a way of doing it. There's a science to it that they've really perfected and done well. And yeah,
I think what makes it really rewarding to do this work too is that often the entrepreneurs that end up in front of us when we start to talk about this elite stuff, it sort of feels like the game of leadership and organizing your team is like wizardry. Like, I don't know, man. Nobody's ever had to deal with this particular set of details, and my team's kind of this, or they don't feel comfortable as a leader. And what's amazing about what we do is there are principles at play that you can teach. Like, hey, there's a structure, there's a way to think about this, that anybody can learn, whether you consider yourself analytical or creative or squirrel syndrome or whatever other, hats or, labels entrepreneurs put on themselves. Either way, the principles are the same.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Go ahead, Aaron.
well, yeah, I was gonna say it's the thing that as someone who I've done, I don't know if we're competing with them, but maybe we are. EOS versus Elite. The thing that I found with Elite, and I've done both. Uh, my personal experience was that I felt like Elite was just a little bit less rigid, and that's great for a company that's becoming $1 million company, or has visions of becoming that, or that is 1 million and has visions of going to 3 million. To me, it just seemed a little less rigid, um, and I love, essentially the way I describe what we do is I tell people we help you develop a rhythm, and we teach you how to facilitate the rhythm. And I think that people expect consultants to have all the answers. The reality is they don't. We have some answers, and we have some things where we go, "Ooh, don't do that. I don't know if you should do that or not. We should talk about it." And so we teach, like, and by the way, I've been on a mission. I think I shared this with you guys this weekend when I started picking up business books in 2000 and that time frame. And I'd go to Barnes and Noble. Like, I was telling some people this weekend, when I started my business, I had a pager, and I went to cell phones and called people back. And that was in 1996. I didn't whip out.
No,
I
you
mean,
went
there were
to
some cell phones.
payphones.
I'm payphones,
Payphones.
not cell phones. Went to
Yeah.
payphones and called people. I didn't have a cell phone when I started my business. I had a pager, and there wasn't this, like, I was telling this young kid, he was 22 or something, I think, and Seth, he's from the Pennsylvania area, maybe he's 20, was he 22? It doesn't matter.
25.
Anyway,
He's 25.
25, young. And I was like, man, like, what you have in your palm of your hand can get you more information than they had available to launch to the moon, right? And certainly more than I had when I was trying to launch my business. But um, the point I guess I'm trying to make is that, like, I felt like this is very simple. I feel like we're teaching a rhythm. I feel like we're helping. Like, you don't learn this in high school. You don't learn this in college unless you take some really advanced, maybe, business, MBA courses, possibly. Even then, I don't know that they're teaching it great. And ultimately, all of us as entrepreneurs at some point reach a place where we're just ill-equipped to lead our team, and we feel, maybe it was you, Dan, or one other speaker said, I don't feel worthy to stand in front of this room sometimes and talk about these things. And as an entrepreneur, as a leader of teams, it's very unworthy many times. And so we help like ease that. We help teach you how to lead your teams effectively. And I tell people all the time, you should be firing us at some point in the journey, like
Yeah.
24 months of working with us. If you're, you should be able to say, hey, I don't think I need you to do this anymore. I've got it. Because we're going to sit beside of you. We're not going to give you all the answers. It's not like there's a test and there's a correct answer to everything. We're going to help you learn how to be strategic. We're going to help you learn how to get other people to be strategic. And ultimately, like Nick Saban at Alabama, the guy won 7 national championships with like 4 or 5 different coaching staffs. He used these principles that we teach, very similar principles, to gather people together to get clear on his vision and to get clear about what they were there to do, which was actually, in his case, was to create, take young men and young guys and help them become great adult men in society through football at Alabama or LSU or wherever he was, Michigan State at one point. But that was his purpose, and they did that through football. And so his purpose is never completed. No matter how many national championships he won, no matter how much money he made, his purpose was never completed. And great leaders who sustain greatness over a long period of time have a purpose where it's like, I'll never be done, because it's a big purpose. And so money and national titles in his case, or number of trucks in our case, or number of locations, those will never be fulfilled if we have the right purpose. And so we teach you how to get all of your leaders on the same page, working around a purpose. And it just, to me, between the two options that I've been through, this one was just very easy for me to learn and implement. And so, yeah.
Miranda, like, I think that sometimes, I think that if I were in the chaos of and you've probably seen this, in the chaos of $1 million, $2 million business, when people are like going, I don't see how me doing core values, I don't see how me defining a purpose or a mission, or even we have regular meetings. I don't see how adding this, how's that going to solve my problem in my production in Division 3?
Yeah.
That, like, so,
or even another step further, where they hate meetings, right? Like, what?
oh yeah.
You're gonna teach
Hear that
me
a lot, don't we?
more, death by meetings, right? Like that
Yeah.
feeling.
So I wonder, like, how do we? Because for me, it's very clear. In fact, recently sat across the table from someone who was telling us about a problem that he had with a group of members of his team, that they were taking vacation at the wrong time, and I looked at him and I said, I think I know your problem, and your problem is I'm diagnosing you as a doctor. I shouldn't claim to be a doctor, but like in my head, I'm diagnosing you with a lack of vision, and a lack of clarity vision, and a lack of that vision pervading your team as a whole. And it was as clear as day to me that was the trouble. Now for him, all he saw was an employee who was a little bugged and annoyed and making a bad decision. And for me, I said, man, holy cow, you have a serious vision gap. And if we get that healed up, all of these problems are just going to kind of right themselves. Does that kind of make sense?
For sure.
What are some of the other symptoms, maybe, Miranda, that you might see in a team where you go, oh, this needs this kind of elite methodology to be applied, or this is a leadership issue, not a fill in the blank issue?
I mean, so many things are a leadership issue, not a fill in the blank issue, right? Like that's so many things. But there are a lot of things, like to go back to the doctor analogy, there are a lot of things that, or many things that business owners ask me about that present as a certain thing. And in my head, instantly it connects to a principle in Elite. For example, the business owner that like gets interrupted a lot, like is being pulled in a bunch of directions all day, every day. That
Mm.
that feeling, every small business owner knows what that feels like, right? And some people have it worse than others, right? Some people, it's like all they can think about in a day is how they have to just attend to the quick shot, like the fire in front of them. And that prevents them from really doing any sort of meaningful work. And some of them, it carries on for so long that now their team feels like a hassle to them in general, right? Like it's just too many getting
Mm.
peppered by questions all the time. And whenever I hear that, when it presents as
Preach.
Aaron's raising his hand, he can identify. But when it presents as like I'm getting pulled in too many directions, my team needs too many different things from me, the answer in my elite brain says, well, tell me about your meeting rhythm. Like how often do you meet with your team members? How organized are those meetings? Do people know when they can ask what they have to ask? And when I share the example of when I worked at Elite, when I worked for Brett, the number of times in a day that I would, and we were a small team, we were a team of like 5. So it wasn't like I had other managers that I was talking to or something. But if like the number of times that I called Brett in the middle of the day were so few and far between that he would actually answer the phone excitedly. And I really got a kick out of it. Like whenever I called him in the middle of the day, he would pick up like, Miranda, what do you need today? Like he was like, oh, I get to talk to you. And he was like, he was thrilled that he got to check in with me, that he got to know what was going on in my day. And it was because we had such a great meeting rhythm. Like I knew when I could go to him and ask whatever questions I have or when that question was going to be answered. And on the other side of it, I knew because of our core values and because of our purpose and because I knew I was in alignment with those things, I knew that any question outside of there, I was empowered to handle, right? I knew
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
answer would be in alignment with the team. Does
I
that make sense?
love that is such a brilliant like assessment. We should add this to our like medical book. We need to create like the medical journal on lawn behavior businesses. But I would add a little symptom to lack of leadership vision and structure or lack of poor meeting rhythm is that your team feels like an annoyance. If your
Yep.
team feels like an annoyance, there's a very good chance, or they feel like they're very needy. Um, I mean, there are a couple of things that could be, right? Could be you just got the wrong team. But let's first make sure before we fire everyone or replace everyone, let's first make sure that we have a great meeting rhythm and that structure and rhythm and KPI scorecard and all that stuff's in place so that everyone knows what's expected, how it will be measured, and how it aligns with the overall goals of the company. Let's make sure they're all bought into the vision. Let's make sure we do all of those kind of key pieces and that allow us to maybe magnify the team we have rather than feeling like we need to replace it or get new team or that we have to carry the team on our back. Oh, I love it. Okay, so Miranda, I mean, it would be a shame not to at least get a couple of like really good tidbits from you. I mean, you sat in so many good leadership team meetings. For our lawn care CEOs, what are some of the big lessons you've learned along the way that you go, in all of this experience, I have these kind of ahas. And I always joke that I tell the story about my brother who's doing a surgery, right? And it's like, it's not that we are necessarily smarter, anyone in this room. It's just that we've seen more examples. And so, Miranda is very smart, but not necessarily smarter than anyone listening. It's just, when you've been inside of 100 companies, you're probably going to be more likely to get the 101st right than you would your first one, right? So just like any of you, as you go on to create and run hundreds of companies, eventually you go, oh, I'm kind of getting the hang of it. And you begin to see through the matrix and you identify, oh, I see exactly what's going on here. And you can diagnose it very quickly, which is why Miranda is such a great coach. But so for you, after looking through the matrix and seeing it all, what are some things that pop out to you that you'd say, man, these are some key lessons I've learned?
Yeah, and I think that through the matrix detail is pretty important too, which is a crucial part of being a coach. When you get to the outsider looking in on somebody's business, you have a special vantage point that they do not. And because they're in the weeds of everything, of all the details, and they are making decisions while there's a fire in front of them. And when you have the vantage point of being able to say, hey, I see the fire, I see that, but I also see all these other things that are kind of like pouring gasoline on that fire. So let's put the fire out. Let's do that so that you can, rest your weary head about it. And then let's stop making little sparks and throwing gasoline on it. Like let's stop creating those fires. So that's the other thing that I love about what I do. But things that have lessons that have stood out for me, I don't know. It kind of blows my mind that more people don't talk about this, but something that I think has probably been true for nearly every leader I've ever worked with or any entrepreneur, and that is that everybody undervalues self-awareness and how that plays out with your team and in your business. We all know that everybody who's an entrepreneur that's listening to this podcast has something that they're avoiding doing. And if you are the one guy or gal that says, no, I'm good. Like I don't have anything I'm avoiding. You're extra not self-aware, honestly. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
No, I'm fine. I'm perfect. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you're the guy we're talking to right now.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, that's happening because you're a human.
Or if you're sitting there going, you know who needs to hear this? You're not self-aware, right?
For sure. And for some people, it's a bigger deal than others, right? But we're all avoiding something, and most of the time, the thing that we're avoiding, we know how to fix, or we know the first step to take, or we know somebody that we could call that could help us move in the right direction, but we don't do it always. And the reason that we're not doing it, or the head trash that's getting in your way, that's preventing you from doing it, or the worry or the anxiety, right? Whatever the thing is.
I have to interrupt to give a Miranda example, because this will give you an idea of Miranda. So when I first met Miranda, which is probably 5 or 6 years ago, it's been a while.
Has been.
She was applying to be a coach for the elite program. I was there as a consultant helping with an event. And I sat down next to Miranda. I said, hey, nice to meet you. Did pleasantries. I said, so what are you doing here? And she said, well, I'm applying to be a coach. And I said, oh, that's so awesome. Well, I knew, Miranda probably knew this too, but I knew that I was part of the evaluation of Miranda. I was meant to meet her, get to know her, and see if she was coach material, because I'd been working with this company, with this group for a lot longer than she had.
I didn't know that.
Did you not know that?
I didn't know that. I figured you probably had to give a thumbs up, but I didn't know you were officially part of the process.
I think I was part of the process. Yeah. So I sat down across from her, and without her knowing that I was a part of the process, we just started chatting, and probably within 5 minutes, I was telling her how I wanted to write this book. I still want to write it. And within 10 minutes, she was going, well, so why are you avoiding it? What's going on? And I felt very uncomfortable. I'll admit it. I was like, I did not like the tables being turned on this guy as the coach. And it was effortless by Miranda. And to in that moment, I realized the value of a coach. Here was something that I wanted, but there was something between me and that thing that I could not see because I was too close to it. And in that moment, I go, oh my goodness, Miranda helped me uncover and identify that thing that was standing between me and the thing that I wanted, and was willing generously to help me overcome it, help me remove that roadblock in order for me to move forward. And whether that's a gap in knowledge or a gap in self-awareness, like Miranda's talking about, or a gap in discipline or accountability, whatever that gap is, there's no reason why we shouldn't go see a doctor about it, why we shouldn't go get some help about it, if indeed we actually want the things we claim to want. If that kind of makes sense. And so I was not self-aware in that moment, Miranda, about the thing that was getting in my way. And it was so cool to watch you just unveil that for me. And that's why I said, oh, Miranda would be a great coach. Let me tell you about the story.
I love that. I love that story. It's such an amazing thing to get to be a part of, right? Because everybody has those things. And I think it's not about me, like Aaron was saying before, it's not about us having all the answers to everything. It's about us understanding a process and a system and being able to ask questions in a way that helps the entrepreneur, the person, like get out of their own way, which is the most rewarding part of this work, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, here.
I think the confidence I have as a leader today that I didn't have in 2015 or 2016, before I did any type of leadership work. It's so nice to know that I don't have to have it all figured out. But when I hit a roadblock, I know exactly what to do. I know who I need to assemble. I know the questions I need to ask. It's like, is it Seth Godin who said, and maybe he didn't come up with it, but he wrote about it, the 10,000 hour thing, right? Like, if you want to be great at something, you have to put 10,000 hours in. Maybe it's not him, but, and that is true. Like I grew up playing basketball and I'm a pretty good free throw shooter. I've probably shot I don't even know how many free throws. To the point where like, if we went to the free throw line right now, I could make 8 out of 10. And because it's just, and I would bet you money, it's just, I know exactly how much of this I need to get the ball over the rim into and I don't say that, I'm not bragging about that, but that is just a muscle that you learn. And leadership is a muscle that you have to develop and you have to learn.
Yeah.
And the reason military and, sports and it's public speaking, Dan. You literally did 2 amazing speeches this weekend, public speaking engagements, and I always love watching you because you're just like, I haven't decided what I'm going to talk on yet, and we're sitting there, and it's like in 30 minutes, and you pull out your paper and you have a few ideas, but the reason you can do that, one, you're very talented, but you've spent countless times. How many hours? You've got 10,000 hours in front of people, I would imagine, at this point in your life.
Yeah. Getting up there.
And so it's just, and so as a leader, if you want to be a great leader, you're going to have to put yourself in situations where you don't have the answer, but you feel confident that you can get the right answer through the people you surround yourself with, the rhythm that you create, the questions you ask, and that's our goal with you. If we come work with your company and you're over $1 million, that's what we're trying to teach you. We're trying to get that muscle exercised in you so that you become this really strategic thinking person and you ask the right questions when something comes up. Because the reality is this, and if you think about like flying a plane, I haven't got my pilot's license. My wife would never let me. She's afraid of that kind of thing. But they try to put you in scenarios where you don't have the answers. And how do you react under pressure? And the great ones don't wreck and die. And great coaches. I love to watch sports today and watch the reaction of the coach when everything's going crazy and they're just stoic and they're thinking about the next thing and they blocked out all this craziness that's around them and they're just like, all right, here's what we got to do. Here's the next play. Let's go. And it's just like, 2-point conversion, right? Whatever that is, here's the play. Like if you want to be a great business leader, you're going to have to exercise those muscles. You're going to have to learn those. And the sooner you put yourself in that position, the faster you get
that's
there,
so
right?
true.
Like
I see some people, some of the people we coach are pretty young. And I love it. I love it when I get to coach someone young because I think to myself, they're going to have their 10,000 hours done by the time they're 35. And what does that look like when I'm 35 years old, I'm fluent in the language of leadership. I'm fluent in the language of decision-making. I'm fluent in the language of team building and hiring. I'm fluent in the language of understanding, financial dynamics of my business. I know the numbers. I know how to drive those numbers. Like I feel so optimistic and hopeful for them when I think about their future. And by the way, at the same time, also love coaching the 55-year-old or the 65-year-old of one client who's older, but he's humble and he's learning and his business is getting better faster. And it probably gets a little better faster because of his experience. It's not like that experience has been wasted, but he's able to recognize the value of what we do and then put it in place. So, I mean, at the end of our call today, Miranda, we're so excited to have you on the team, and I'll let you give a final thought, and then I'll let Aaron give a final thought, and then we'll kind of wrap up our call today. But I hope that if you're listening, this doesn't feel like just a Dan and Aaron and Miranda love affair where we're just all really excited about this new coach. Hopefully you're listening and recognizing the importance of submitting yourself to a little bit of learning and coaching, whether it's from us or someone else, moving forward. And hopefully you're recognizing and listening to the importance and value of like Aaron's done over the last, however many years of researching and studying and learning the craft of leadership. That being said, Miranda, give us a final thought, a little sign off here, and then I'll give Aaron a minute to do as well.
I guess I'll follow suit with what you were sharing, Dan, which is if you're an entrepreneur listening to this podcast and you have something in your business that you're avoiding, just pause for a second and actually acknowledge why you're avoiding that thing and make a decision on what to do about it. You don't have to have all the answers. And it's okay if the reason you're avoiding it is because it's scary or because you aren't quite sure what to do. You don't have to have all of the answers, right? And so I guess I'm encouraging them to acknowledge the thing and take a step. Whether you get a coach or you find a course or you ask a buddy or whatever it might, like join a group, right? Like there were so many people at the conference we were at last week that were also just learning from each other, learning from their peers. So there's got to be somebody somewhere who can help you along, and do it faster. Like do it now. Don't wait 2 weeks until it's a giant flame in front of you. Like go handle the thing.
Yeah. Amen. Aaron, final thought?
Yeah. Two final thoughts. One, welcome, Miranda. So excited to get to work with you and learn from you. Your knowledge and experience is greatly appreciated, and I'm looking forward to, like I said, learning from that and working with you. This is a really cool industry. I honestly, I couldn't imagine working in any other industry. I just love the people. I feel like when I'm around the people of this industry, I feel very at home, and it's a great place to be. So you're gonna love them, and you're very familiar with the industry. You've been around it for a little while now. So welcome to Miranda. And also, if you're listening to this, I was telling Dan before the call, I don't know that we've been really clear. And so I just wanted to tell you real quickly, my final thought is we've got a pretty cool new program that we're launching this year. When Dan and I launched the Lawn Care CEO, we really were set up to work one-on-one with companies. And when you work one-on-one is the best way to work with someone, but it's the most inefficient and it's the most expensive way, unfortunately. And so we realized as we went along this journey that we've been on that we were leaving a group of people out because of that, because it was expensive and because one-on-one, the nature of it, we were leaving out startup companies who probably need the most help, or equally as much. And so we have 3 programs. We have what's called a Catalyst program, which is the new program, and that is for companies from 0 to 350, 400,000, we'll say. This is the company that is like, you're probably in the field still. you're like, maybe you got a crew that's helping you, or, maybe you have a crew and you run a crew. So two crews, something like that. But you are really like lacking some basic principles of business, and you really want to get to the next level, above a $500,000 in revenue, or between that and 750,000, and you're just really stuck. And you have big visions, but you really don't know where to go. We have a great program called a Catalyst program. This is actually going to be a one-to-many program, but we're going to limit it to 8 people. So 8 companies, owners will be on this call, and we'll be working with you twice a month. There'll be 2 opportunities a month to work with us, and it's affordable. It's $250 a month. And so if you are a startup company, you don't know where to go next, this will be a great program for you. Let me say this real quick. None of our programs come with a contract. You're not locked in. You can exit whenever you want. And Dan and I are of the mindset that if you do something with us and you generally don't feel like you got your value, I'll give you your money back. I do not want to take somebody's money who thinks that they didn't get value. And you heard it here. It's my guarantee. So that's our Catalyst program. The next program we have is called Accelerator. The Accelerator program is for companies generally over a $500,000, but not quite to $1 million. This is for the person who is operating a couple of crews. They're not necessarily in the field all the time. They get in the field when there's a problem, but they feel like they don't have anyone else in the company who's not in the field with them. They kind of feel this is probably the most alone place in the business, because you're kind of on your own. There's no one else in your company doing what you're doing.
Lots of systems
leading
work, lots of hiring work, building the business. Finally have a little time to work on it, but what do I work on, and in what order do I work on it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we'll start teaching you these elite principles, and some of those will come out in this work, but it is one-on-one. So you have a coach, it's virtual. We don't travel to you, and it's every other week for 1 hour with one of our elite coaches, one of the 3 of us right now. And that program is currently $750. And that is once, monthly. And you'll have a call every other week, and it's a set time, same bat time, same bat place, right? And same bat channel. Isn't that what they used to say? I never watched Batman.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah. So, and that's an accelerator, right? So you got Catalyst, Accelerator, and then if you're...
Aaron, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second and brag on you two for a second, because you mentioned how we'll be teaching some of the elite principles in that Accelerator program, but we're also teaching people industry-specific information. We're also teaching the details of what applies to the lawn care business specifically that they need to go and do. Like, we get to tell them, which is so much fun and so rewarding, but we get to tell them, hey, pull up your P&L. Like, let's look at that thing. Here's where you need to be paying attention. Here are the things that typically get out of hand in this kind of business, right? And all of that, not to downplay the magic of Elite. The magic of Elite is amazing in and of itself. And we have another additional bit of something that we get to help people with that's really comes, Aaron, from your time, years over years, making a bunch of mistakes, and your, systemized brain, right? The way your brain works and organized, like the different spreadsheets that you and Dan have shown me that you've created as a way to think about pricing, for example. Like, these businesses need that. They need it, and it's really important. So it's not just the elite stuff that we do here.
Very true. Yeah, thank you, Miranda. Yeah, I mean, and that is true. We're gonna go in and check, the 6 areas of your business that we focus on, right? From finance to your team, to the production side, to your hiring,
sales and marketing,
sales and marketing, leadership. So we're gonna go into that, and man, if in 1996 I could have gotten in the Catalyst program, and then I could have, maybe in 97 or early 98, I'd have been working with an accelerator. And then, by 2001, I'd be working with a fractional CEO. who knows, right? Woulda, shoulda, coulda. But this is available now. And so you have this. The third program that we have is what we call our fractional CEO program. And this is the one that kind of was the vision we had then, where we were like, how do we really help companies thrive? Because that's the mission that we're on, folks. We are on a mission to build a shareable coaching model that really helps companies thrive. And the mission due date for us is December 31st, 2026. So we've got almost 2 years. And, we're figuring this out. And so if we really want to build something shareable, we've got to be able to share it with other coaches and other people. And that's why this call is really exciting for Dan and I, because a year or 18 months ago, we set this mission, right, to figure out how to share this. And this is happening. But the fractional CEO program is one where we actually come to you and your team for 2 days. We travel to you. We work with you and your team. We build this purpose, mission, values, prioritizing work over the next 12 months, prioritizing work for 90 days. And we leave there with really clear vision of your company. And then the nice thing, and this is where we are vastly different than EOS. And so if you're an EOS person, you're listening to this, you're like, here's where we're different. We're going to be on a 1-hour phone call with you every other week, you or your leadership team, or both, however you want to do it. But we're going to be holding you accountable. This is what you told me in your annual meeting you're going to do. And every other week for 90 days, we're going to be holding you accountable to say, let me see the KPIs. Let me see the P&Ls. Let me see the balance sheet. See the statement of cash flows. Let me see the priorities. Whoa. Hey, Tina on your team said she was going to have this done. I feel like we're a little off track here. How do we need to help Tina? Right?
And so we're going to say it's sort of like adding us to your leadership team.
We are.
And so
actually, what's really cool, Dan, is when we leave that annual meeting, like, we're hugging and everybody, I feel like I've joined the family typically. And that's why we call it a fractional CEO program. We're going to sit with you, co-pilot, in the CEO seat and say, okay, come on, let's figure this out together. And again, we're not going to have all the answers because we don't know what the problems are going to be for you. There's some are very clear when we get there. Some are going to come up. Hey, we were on our weekly call this morning, and one of my clients texted me and said, hey, I've got an issue. I've got a client who doesn't want to pay me. What do we do? What was awesome is all three of us had the same answer. I texted him right back. He's like, here's what the three of us think. And he goes, I agree with that. That's what I'm going to do. And, so you're not alone, especially as a CEO trying to build a leadership team. That's probably the loneliest place. But here's the cool thing. Every quarter, we're going to come together virtually with your team for 1 day, and we're going to set the course for the next 90 days. Let me tell you something. If you make a commitment as a business, I don't care how talented you are or how much you lack experience in any of this, if you come together and 2 days a year, you get off site and you go through this rhythm, and then every hour, 1 hour every other week, by the way, you and your leadership team are going to be getting together 1 hour every week. You get together 1 hour every week with your leadership team and you go on track or off track of what we said we were going to do, course correct. And then every 90 days you go, okay, what did we accomplish? What do we need to do the next 90 days? And then you go every other, 1 hour every week, checking in. If you do that for 24 months or for the rest of your career, infinite possibilities to what you can accomplish. Because we're really going to teach you a rhythm, and you're going to learn how to facilitate that rhythm. And there's going to be one of two things that's going to happen after 18 to 24 months. Actually, one of three things. One is you're going to say, I got it. Let me fly this plane. Get out of the plane. I'm going to fly it solo. Thank you. And we're going to cheer, because let me tell you guys something. There's between 600,000 and 700,000 lawn care companies in the country. We can't work with all of them at the same time, so we need you to fire us. To be honest with you, for us to reach our mission, we need a couple of you guys to get it and say, go work with somebody else.
To my clients listening, we don't need you to fire us tomorrow necessarily.
Yeah, give us some notice. But really, if we're going to be true to our mission, like even if we have 12 coaches one day or 25 coaches, just do the math, folks. There's a lot of people who need help. We want to try to help them. That could happen. The other option is you could say, oh man, like I just love y'all coming and doing it. and I think I could do it, but I really like having someone else facilitate. I think there's a lot of power in that. And you're like, man, you're cheaper today than you've ever been because your price is the same and our company's more healthy than it's ever been. Just show up. We love you guys, and we'll do that. I don't ever want to do that for someone who thinks they have to keep me. So if you want me there, you want us there, we want to be there. If you feel like you don't need us there, we want you to kick us out. And we'll love you the same either way. It's not personal. We know that. And then there's the third one, which is, I don't want to end on this, but I'm gonna be honest with you. If you don't do the work, we're gonna fire you, because it stinks to work with someone who doesn't follow the diet and the exercise plan. And there's 600,000 other companies that might follow it, and I'm going to work with them. And so there's, that's who we are. That's the programs we have to offer.
For the record, we haven't had to do that yet, but we're
we
committed.
Don't want to do that.
We're not going to take your money if we're not helping you, and that should be both ways, right? Yeah.
Yep. So I just wanted to kind of share that. I don't think we've ever officially told people that. Listen, hey, if you're listening to this podcast, by the way, this is December 20th, 2025. If you listen to this 3 years from now, and don't quote those prices, too, they may change. But
I'm sure they will.
But I'm sure they will. But we want to be transparent. We want to tell you who we are. And Dan and I were like, I don't think we've ever really told people, specifically what and how we do it. And that's who we are, and that's what we do. So hopefully that helps.
I love it. And I'll just close on this thought. For whatever reason, we're on this doctor analogy today, and I've always been a person that's been pretty reluctant to go to the doctor. Like, my wife will be like, hey, it's time for your annual checkup. You're 45. You need to get a colonoscopy. And I'm like, no, thank you. Oh, it's time for your dental cleaning. And I'm like, can we avoid that? Like, I hate doctors. I feel it's very invasive. I do not like the process of going to the dentist. I'm literally feel like it's torture. I probably inherited that from my dad, who didn't like going to the doctor. But
I'm the complete opposite. Like, I love it. That's so funny. Isn't that funny how people are?
You like going to the doctor?
I love finding out what I need to fix.
Oh, yeah, my goodness. See, not me. Not me. I'm resistant to that. And I'll if you're like me, hopefully you have a wife or a spouse or someone near you that schedules the appointments for you and says you got to go. If you don't have a person like that in your life, I will be that person for you right now. Do not suffer in silence, because so many of the things where I've had the pain or an ache or whatever, 90% of the time, first of all, a very simple treatment fixes the problem and I feel better. And I'm like, why didn't I go to the doctor right away? Right? Like, most of the time it's like something really simple and you're dumb and you're like, oh dude, I've been suffering for a long time in silence. I could have just gone and they would have been like, oh, that's pretty normal. Just take this. And then sometimes I've gone and checked it out and it's like, dude, you need surgery. And it's a good thing you came in and so like, if we can help in that way, one way or the other, we'd love to help, but go get help from someone. Like, we think we're pretty good at it, but there are probably other people good at it. But wherever you go get the help that you need. Because there is no reason. It just dawned on me the other day. So I gave my email. I was at this event. I gave my email to the entire room, 450 people. I literally offered to give them 30 minutes to an hour of my time, which usually bills out at hundreds of dollars an hour. And I'll get 3 people to take me up on that.
Yep.
Maybe that's an indictment on me, where it's like, oh, nobody likes me. But I think it's more likely, hopefully it's more likely that we're just a little hesitant to ask for help. And so we're encouraging you today, in one form or another, to ask for help so that you can do more good in the world. All right, you guys, we love you. Thank you to our tens of listeners. Thank you to Miranda as our special guest today. Tens of tens, we love you. Go do more good in the world. Peace.